What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Sitting with Sean Extraordinary, brought to you by the Antisocial Network. Today, we got a very awesome guest. His name is Jeff K. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing amazing.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful day out, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I probably won't see it as I'll be inside all day.
Hey, man, I feel you too. I feel you. I have a ton of recordings to do today, man. I understand that completely. So, Jeff, would you like to give a formal introduction of yourself?
Sure. I'm Jeff K with My Digital Memories, and I also run a podcast, Echoes Across Time, Preserving the Past, Inspiring the Future. Um, My Digital Memories is about digitizing people's old VHS tapes, slides, photographs, and I want to make sure I keep people's memories and legacies alive for future generations.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's actually something that I know a lot of people have had a problem with in the past is like digitizing the stuff that they had. So it's awesome that there's a service available for that.
Thank you.
It's awesome. So before we get into it and before we talk about anything, I just found something out that's crazy. Jeff is from my neck of the woods, or I'm from Jeff's neck of the woods. Let's say that.
I've only
Uh,
been here 3 years, so
uh, I've really only been here for like 6 months. Well, not even 6 months, maybe four. Yeah, I moved back in December, and it was supposed to be just a come visit my dad type deal, and then I stayed. Yeah, so yeah, Jeff is from Charleston, West Virginia, or sorry, Charlestown, West Virginia, and I'm from Harpers Ferry, which is literally like a town apart. And so that's pretty cool. It's very rare that I get a podcaster that is from my neck of the woods or I'm from their neck of the woods. So it's pretty cool. That's I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that.
yeah, it's neat.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's dive into it, man. What inspired you to create my digital memories?
What inspired me back when I was 7 years old, my grandmother passed away at my feet. Man, I can still close my eyes and see it to this day. Um, so at that point in time, I started to save birthday cards, holiday cards, and things like that from various relatives. And as technology evolved, I kept up with it, with whether it's a Polaroid camera, whether it's VHS tape, VHS-C, 8 millimeter. Technology was evolving fast, and it still is evolving fast. But the problem that I ran into was that media only lasts between 15 and 20 years before it starts degrading. And that's even assuming it's in a climate controlled environment. If it's not in a climate controlled environment, the lifespan is even shorter than that. Um, so I came up with the idea in my 20s. However, I approached my dad with it. He's like, "Oh, sounds great. Go get a job." So, so I spent 20 years in corporate. Corporate in me didn't work. Um, Only to find out later, but that's probably another story. Only to find out later after doing some genealogy, my family's been entrepreneurs since the 1870s.
Wow.
Um, but then my dad died in 2008. My mom died in 2018. And we were cleaning out their house and we found, I'm sure, like a lot of other people, slides, film, VHS tapes, a lot of family memories that I wanted copies of, my sister wanted copies of, her kids wanted copies of, my kids wanted copies of. So I decided to digitize it, pull it all in one place so everybody could share.
Yeah. Yeah. That that's pretty awesome. And to go back and do the genealogy and like look and see that your you know your ancestors were entrepreneurs just like yourself. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I when I was going after my parents passed away, I was going through my grandfather's wallet on my mom's side, and I found a picture behind a picture about the size of a postage stamp. Didn't know who it was. Turned out to be his mother. And when I started doing some investigating with my living relatives, turned out to that's how I found out it was his mother. And it turned out his mom was actually a dressmaker. So she
Wow,
actually made the dress she was wearing in the picture.
that is awesome.
And then when I was comparing her photo to my mom's photo, I could actually see the genes being passed down from generation to generation.
Wow, wow, that's super cool.
Yeah, it was, I couldn't believe it. I mean, she could almost be my mom's twin.
Wow, wow. Speaking of like entrepreneurship, how hard was it to start your business? How hard was it to start my digital memories?
I'm, it's not easy. I'm not going to say, oh, well, it's a piece of cake. It's not, especially spending 20 years in the corporate world. I mean, I'm still evolving, I'm still growing. Um, I mean, in the corporate world, you're kind of, I'll say, siloed into one position
Yeah,
and you do one thing. As an entrepreneur, you're doing marketing, you're doing sales, um, you're you're doing the bookkeeping, you're the accountant, you're from you're everything.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't have employees, so I'm a one man show.
yeah,
So I'm the advertising guy, the marketing guy, the bookkeeping guy, the guy collecting the money, the doing the promotions. So no, it's not easy. But the one thing I found, the one thing that gives me pleasure is that one, I don't have a boss.
yeah.
Two, if I mess up, it's on me. So I don't have anybody micromanaging me, looking over my shoulder saying, "Oh, Jeff, you screwed this up,"
Yeah,
which is what I really like. Uh, I mean, as hard as it is, I would encourage if I would encourage people to do it, um, especially nowadays, only because, in my opinion, I'll clarify it because a lot of people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going to college to get a degree. But when they get out, depending upon what their degree is, they're lucky if they make $70,000.
yeah,
So the question is, if you're making $70,000 and you've got to live off that, how hard is it going to be to pay back your student loans?
absolutely. It's gonna be super hard,
Extremely.
almost
That's why
impossible.
I see a lot more people going into the trades. There's a shortage of it, and it pays amazing. I know people that have retired at the age of 30.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What was that moment for you that you said this is what I have to do? I have to start this business.
The moment was after my parents passed away, and I decided I have to live my life and not my dad's life.
Yeah,
I can appreciate the fact that he wanted me to go into perhaps a safer direction, which wasn't all that safe, but it was more something that I felt I wanted to do. Um, it gave me comfort knowing that I can remember my family's history, remember my pets, keep memories alive, um, celebrate people's lives.
yeah.
So that's what gives me comfort and joy.
That's pretty awesome. That's super cool. Um, and I'm proud of you for starting that because many people that I've seen in their life, they'll have a great idea and then they'll let something push them down and they'll never achieve it. and you took something that you seen in your early 20s and you said, I'm going to hold on to this, and you started it up, and I'm happy for you. I really am, because that's you're living a dream not very many people get to leave.
Thank you. I I mean, can a lot of people? Well, I won't even say a lot of people. I could take the safe road and get a job,
Yeah.
but is it the safe road, especially nowadays? Look at
Yeah.
look at the economy. Look at the people being laid off.
Yeah.
Um, Look at the jobs being outsourced to China, India. So I guess I question, if you're laid off, how hard is it to find that next job?
Yeah. Yeah, it is really hard, and I'm fully retired from the military, and I'm disabled through the VA, and I pined with the idea of like going to get a job, right? And I was like, that could be cool. And then my girlfriend looked at me and she said, "Don't give somebody else your time because you're enjoying what you're doing now."
That's right.
And I was like, "Oh, that is so smart," right? Because I gave my time to somebody else, and I didn't really enjoy what I was doing. And then now I absolutely love it. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy the human interaction, because we don't get very much of that nowadays. Everything. I mean, even now, I mean, we're stuck behind a computer screen, but still, I mean, it's the human connection. We're talking, and we get to make connections. Had I not met you, I never would have known that you were from West Virginia.
The Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you for your
Um,
support.
my wife is a cancer survivor, and I'll get to the significance of this in a minute. Um, she ended up quitting her job because, in her opinion, the stress and aggravation maybe caused her cancer.
Yeah.
So now she's a multipreneur doing many different things, whether it's travel, whether it's color analysis, uh, finance, etc. But she's doing something that she loves.
Yeah, I have this saying, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it before. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's true.
Yeah, I see too many people like just throwing themselves into work and then getting worked up, and then they go to the grave. And what do they have to show for themselves except for that they worked hard?
Yeah, I mean, if you dread going to work every day and you got a hard time waking up, you're not doing the right job.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a horrible commute. I mean, it's literally 25 seconds to my office.
Get up out of bed and stroll into the office.
Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you start the business, you get it going. Where's your business at now? Like, what is it looking like for you?
Work out of my house, as I just mentioned. Um, it's still growing. It's still evolving. I'm having a fantastic month right now. But one thing that I decided about 3 months ago was that memories come in various forms. Yes, they come in pictures. They come in VHS tapes, movies, and other formats. But they also come in stories. Stories have been around since cavemen started to draw on wall on in caves. So with that in mind, I opened my podcast, Echoes Across Time, Preserved in the Past, Inspiring the Future. And what that is about people that have not only just inspiring stories, but maybe lessons learned, maybe um, things that traditions that have been passed down for generations to generations. People that have struggled and persevered and overcome obstacles, such like yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I think that's very admirable, wanting to hear people's story. And that's why I chose to do what I do, is why I do this. why have the other show. It's because I like to hear people's stories. I like to hear where they've been, what happened, what the nexus was in their life, and then what they're doing now to improve their situation and give back to society. I think that's huge, and I think that if we give people platform, you give people platform, I give people platform. Um, it helps alleviate some of that stress that they're going through.
Absolutely. It's kind of funny. When I opened this, I guess about 3.5, 4 weeks ago, I was really nervous about it. I'm like, where am I going to get my content from? Only to find out now I've got people beating down my door to be on my podcast.
Yeah,
And I mean, here I thought I'd be lucky to get one person. And now I'm booked out to September. And
yeah,
and now I have to start the same podcast, but I'm going to do it twice a week starting in June.
yeah.
So,
Oh, I understand that completely. When I first started, I said I was full of doubt. I just said, I don't, nobody's going to want to talk to me. Nobody's going to share their story.
mhm.
And here we are. I've got 17 episodes of this. I've got my other show that just reached over 50 episodes, and it's just like people are coming. I have enough content for 5 months now, like building up, and I'm gonna be recording five months of content in this like next 2 weeks, and it's just I'm excited. I really am.
And for people that haven't started their own job, maybe you're scared of doing it.
Yeah,
Everybody has been there who started their own job. Everybody. Everybody has the butterflies in the stomach. Everybody second guesses themselves. Will it work? But how do you know if it'll work if you don't try it?
yeah. It's that it's one of those things where if you don't take that step out, if you step out into the unknown, if you don't take that leap of faith that everybody calls it, you really won't know what you can achieve until you do it.
This is true.
What were some of the thoughts that were going through your head when you started both of your projects that you got going on now?
Well, one, my podcast, I wasn't sure if I'd get any takers. And with my digital memories, I mean, I've got a lot of competition, whether it's Forever, whether it's iMemories, whether it's Legacy Box. There's a lot of competition. What sets me apart is one, when somebody picks up the phone and calls me, they speak to the owner.
Yeah, you're
When
not a
you call
robot.
up some of these other companies, and I am by no means am I downplaying their service. They offer a great service, but I'm a boutique service. I can make changes on the fly. I I can customize things for you, do things out of the box. Matter of fact, I'd pretty much say I don't even have a box. Um, but yeah, and getting your name out there, it's not easy. I mean, it's a time thing. If and patience. I mean, you're not going to make your goal in a month or 6 months or
Yeah,
maybe even a year or 2 years. But it's a matter of being persistent, being consistent, and following a regiment.
yeah,
See what works. See where your target market is. See if your market's on LinkedIn. Is it on Facebook? Is it on Twitch? Is it on TikTok? And depending upon what your age, what age your target market is in, then that's what you need to follow.
absolutely. So, what are some of the services that you provide through my digital memories?
I pretty much digitize anything, whether it's VHS tapes, VHS-C, 8 millimeter film, 16 millimeter film, Super 8, slides, uh, cassette tapes, LPs, uh, whatever it is, I try to make it work.
Nice, nice. Have you looked into like restoration, like video restoration, or like the VHS restoration? Because I know that there's a huge calling for that too.
That's something I don't do myself, but I do outsource that to somebody who does who works for a museum and does archival restoration.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. And so when you digitize everything, do you send it out in a thumb drive or a hard drive, or send them a digital file? What does that look like?
Uh, I offer them a couple choices. One, I mean, yes, I could put it on DVD, but I'll have to tell you, DVDs are kind of on their way out.
Yeah.
So I usually put it on a thumb drive, or I'll send you a link. And if I send you a link, you'll have like 5 days to download it, and then you can do whatever you like with it.
Yeah, I was gonna say DVDs are gonna are they they're about to be extinct here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to find a DVD player, and everything else is turning to digital now.
Well, I mean, look at Amazon Video. Look at Hulu. Look at Netflix. Look at Vudu. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all video on demand.
yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, it is. We're not gonna be seeing those red boxes very
No.
much often, very soon.
No.
It's about to go obsolete too.
Yeah.
Oh man. So um, outside of doing your work with my digital memories and echoes across time, what are some of the things that you enjoy doing?
Well, obviously, I love tech,
Yeah.
so I'm a techie. So a lot of things that I might do include um, beta test software to see what if stuff will certainly work in my podcast. Like right now, I'm like you. I'm using Streamyard. I'm beta testing, or I'm testing Ecamm,
Mm.
and then you have Streamlabs, then you have OBS, then you have. I mean, there's a ton of different platforms. It's just a matter of what works for you. Um, and then there's hardware that's coming out. Um, and I used to do all this in a previous job. So now I'm doing it for myself to figure out if I'm always about, is there a better, cheaper, faster way of doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. And what personal benefit have you gotten from doing this? From doing echoes across time as well as my digital memories.
Satisfaction. When I was doing, well, one of my clients for my digital memories, her dad died in Vietnam. She never met him. She brought me a 16 millimeter tape that I digitized. She was able to hear her father's voice for the first time in over 60 years.
Wow. Wow. But that brought a tear to her eye.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And on my podcast, I'm sure you're familiar with the statue in DC about Iwo Jima
Yes.
and the flower and the flower, the flag being put in the ground.
Yeah.
Well, somebody on my podcast, her dad was there and
Wow.
witnessed it.
Wow.
So some of the stories are just, they're amazing. And I find, especially with my podcast, that I get a lot of, or some, World War II stories,
Yeah.
which I find fascinating. But it is not the stuff that you're going to find in history books.
Yeah.
History books give you the 10,000 foot view. You're not going to get the picture of the actual footage from people on the ground
Yeah.
and how war changed them before and after. Keep in mind, in World War II, there was no PTSD.
No.
It didn't exist.
Yeah.
Um, and I find a lot of people that I interview, their knowledge of it, if their father, when their father was there, is very limited because they wouldn't talk about it,
Yeah.
which isn't surprising.
Yeah. So my grandfather or my great grandfather was. My great grandfather was in World War II, and I have a picture of him that that was in Alaska. It's being sent down to me, but it was on a wood plaque, and it's a picture of him and my great grandmother. I never got to meet him, and I've heard all the stories about him, and I heard all the good things about him. Uh, but yeah, you're right. There was no PTSD wasn't really recognized back in World War II, and it only became relevant in Vietnam. And I don't know what changed. I really have no clue what changed from World War II to Vietnam to for everything to kind of shift.
I'm not sure. Uh, I know a lot of things are being diagnosed now, uh, and technology's come a long way, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
We're in Alaska.
I was in Anchorage. I was at Fort Richardson.
I love Alaska.
Alaska is a very beautiful state. I lived there 5 years, and I'm glad that I'm here in the warm weather.
I've been to Alaska twice. I'm getting ready for a third trip.
Very nice, very nice. That's
I
awesome.
forget where I was. It might have been Juneau.
Mm,
I might have been in Juneau, but one of the things that caught my eye, which is going to seem kind of odd, is but it still sticks with the topic of history. I was in a store that actually had the gun from Wyatt Earp.
wow, wow, that's
Yeah,
wild. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Well, Jeff, where can we find you?
find me. I am at www dot mydigital-memories.com, or you can call me at 703-821-2793, or send me an email, jeff at mydigital-memories.com.
Sweet, sweet. And I look forward to listening to your podcast. I seen that you posted up an episode of Jenny Lee, and she's gonna be one of my guests. So I'm gonna be looking at that, and I'm gonna be checking your content out. And I just want to thank you for being on here, man. And before we go, do you have any suggestions or advice for anybody that may want to start up a business, a small business, or start up a podcast? What advice would you give to them?
You know, from my perspective, if you want to chat with me, give me a ring. But if it's something that you really have a passion for, maybe you start it as a sideline business. Keep what you're doing. You don't have to jump ship from one to another. You can slowly grow your business while you're doing something else.
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't have to be all in right off the bat.
No. Mm-mm.
Because if you're all in right off the bat, things could go upside down and you're out of a job.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, Jeff. I want to thank you for being here and being a part of the show. Thank you for sharing your business, my digital memories, as well as echoes across time with me and with us, and giving us an inside look as to what motivated you to start both of those and why you continue to do those.
I greatly appreciate it.
All right, and till next time, guys. I hope you guys have a good day. Much love. Be good.